for joining us. My name is Justine Chappell. I am the Communications and Marketing Manager for CaFÉ and also Zapplication, which is the other West Ave submission management site. Excited today to bring to you our Q&A with CaFÉ. We have questions submitted last week from administrators that use CaFÉ, and I'm going to go through those questions and answer them, talk about the topics being discussed, and if you have any questions during the webinar, I can answer them as well. So while we have questions with a variety of topics, the four main areas that came up and the key items that we'll cover include entering event information into the call editor, previewing the event information and application forms, using your call's unique URL, downloading and using reports, and we'll also talk a little bit about video submissions and other ways to customize your call. So with that, let's dive into the questions. Our first question submitted to us was, are we able to copy info into future calls? The answer to this question is a big and easy yes. We do have the ability to copy over your previous calls into a new call template for you to use. This is especially helpful if you have a call for entry that runs every year, but even if you don't and you just want all of your application questions transferred over so you don't have to recreate them, this is a great option for you. So to copy call information, we need to know you're looking to do so when you first request your new call to be added to CaFÉ. As you know, the first step to setting up a call is to fill out the new call request form. So let me pull that up right here for you. This is what it looks like. It should be pretty familiar. And once you enter your organization name, your name, email, all that kind of stuff, you'll get to this question here, which is, would you like us to copy over the application details and questions from an existing call? And then all you have to do is select yes. And then you'll be given the space to insert the name of the call that you want copied over. This call name here needs to match what your previous call name is in CaFÉ, so it's easier for us to find and know exactly which call you need copied. And then once you fill out the rest of the form and send that to us, a member of our team will do the steps to actually copy the information over into your new call template. So keep in mind that this is the only stage that we can copy info when we create a new call. We can't copy info from one call into another existing call if it's already been created. So just be sure to let us know at this stage if you'd like your call details copied. When your new call and the copied info is ready, I'm going to log in here to our administrator dashboard. You'll see it in your CaFÉ account, so it'll show up in your list of current events. And what you'll need to do there is just go to the call editor for it. Oh, I got logged out. I had been signed in for a while. Let me get back in here. There we go. There's that one. Okay, so we'll go to the call editor. So when you have this new call template, we can pretend that this one is a call that just hasn't been published yet, but all of the info from the call that we copied over will be inserted into this new template. And so you'll want to do a few things to comb through this new call and make sure that everything's updated for your new current event. So this includes the dates and any information you've written into your description and the call listing details. If you have your deadline date or maybe a shipment drop-off date, artwork drop-off date or something like that, maybe the event dates themselves, if you have that in a long description as text, that will be copied. So you just need to go through and make sure it's all updated to the current year or to the current, address that the event's taking place at, all that kind of stuff, and really look through this to make sure everything is updated. You'll also want to check the application editor tab for any application questions you might have created. Just make sure that the questions are either the same that you want this year, maybe you need to change something or add something. Just go through those real quick. What's great about copying it over is that you don't have to rebuild application questions. So you can use this as a starting point. And even if you're creating kind of a different type of call, copying over the information at least helps you build out a lot of these questions. And I know for organizations that have lots of application questions, this would be really useful. And then one thing I'll mention too, just make sure you check your product editor as well. Some folks like to put in the year or maybe the event-specific name into the description of the entry fee. Even if you don't have an entry fee, you still have to have the $0 entry fee here. Or maybe you'll see here on this call overview that these dates need to be updated. If you see this under the entry fees field, this is where you have to go. Just go to the product editor, and then the item description is what you need to update. So you'd make sure that you're updating this to the right year, and then use this green floppy disk icon to save the changes. And you'll see that that's when, if I refresh my page, back to the call editor or product editor, you'll see now that this is where those entry fee descriptions are updated. So like I said, this option is great if you have yearly calls or calls that are very similar and you just need to update some information. It would save you lots of time building everything out. So our next question we have submitted is, while I'm editing my call, how can I save it with unfilled out details to come back later and fill in? So just to reword this question a little bit and set the scene almost, when you're setting up a new call, and in this case, the new call would not have been copied over, it'd be starting fresh with blank fields. Some of you have noticed, if you're getting to the section where you're really typing out your prospectus and you're putting in some information and you go to click save on this call, you might see an error message that you have not yet filled out all of the required fields. The answer to this question really does rely on the fact that the call editor requires you to fill out each of these sections: short description, long description, application requirements, all of these fields that you're seeing under the call listing details. And this just helps us make sure that there isn't any information that artists are missing, and that they have everything they need. So requiring those fields kind of helps you make sure that you include those information. So as you can see, let's say I were to remove this text, you'll see that you see the required section here, and that's letting you know that this field is required. But as you can tell, you can't save this section any longer. So even if you were to, put in your details one by one, if you were to save the call, if I tried this one, let's see, yep, it still gives me that error message. That's just because that the page needs those fields filled out. But I have two solutions for you here. The first is to enter placeholder text into each of the required fields and save it, and then go back and put in your fields with your information section by section. So what that does is just give you full saving power as you go. And the placeholder text doesn't have to be anything, specific. You can maybe repeat the field here. You can put in something like placeholder text. It can really be anything you want. Then you go ahead and save. It allows you to save. And then so when I go back and start from the top and I'm putting in the information that I need, it lets me do that one by one, and I can save along the way. So the other solution is to simply just write out all of your information for each of these fields in a separate document or somewhere else outside of CaFÉ. And then all you have to do is come back here and for each section, just copy and paste that information. So you can do that all at once. It won't take that long. You can do it all in one sitting, enter that information, and then go ahead and save after you filled it all out. So having this information outside of CaFÉ also isn't a bad idea to use as a backup, and it does help with this question here. So hopefully this helps with some ways to save your information as you go and avoid error messages. And just to clarify, this really only does pertain to the fields here on the event information tab. All these other settings and things you can save as you go because they already are kind of there for you. Same thing with the application editor. As you're working in these sections, you do save the section one by one. So there's not much really that needs to be done all in one sitting that you can't save along the way. If you're creating application questions, every time you build a question, it will save, and you can, go from there, and you can walk away and come back and build new questions. So that's how you can get past that requirement for all of those fields. So here's our next question. Do you have a way for users to preview their forms before posting? The answer to this is also yes, we do. in addition to just showing you where to go to do this, I'm going to show you exactly how the preview matches what the artist sees. So first, let's go back to the call editor. There's 2 pages that you can preview that are really the 2 main pages that artist sees. And that's Event Information tab and the Application Editor tab. So on the Event Information tab, where you build out all the call details and information about your event, if you go ahead and click Preview Call, it will open up the page that has all of the details that you've entered. This is what we call the call details page. So you can see if you scroll down, it has all the information that you've entered into those fields. And that's what the artist sees from the front end. So you can, as you're editing it, click Preview Call and see what it looks like to the artist. Now, if I were to go to the Application Editor, where I built out the form questions, and I click Preview Call, again, it will take me to the page exactly as it will appear to the artist. So this is what the application will look like to them. They have all the form questions, and you can go in and even, practice or test out some of these questions and see how they function. You can also, if you have conditional logic application questions set up, you can test those here. So we have one set up. So if I chose other, it gives me this other question. If I did this one, it will also show me that. But if I said no, it would take that away. So that's all set up with conditional logic. So if you preview your application editor, you can then test out and make sure it all works the way you want it to work. So those are the preview pages, but let me now compare it to the artist side to, if you're not already convinced, to convince you that this is exactly what the artist sees. I'm going to log into my artist account. And I'm going to try to find the call. I think it's under my favorites. And find the call that I'm setting up. So this is as if the call is published, and I'm just kind of doing this to show you that it matches the back end. So I'm going to click More Info. And you'll see here, this is exactly the same as the call details page we saw before. So it looks identical. In fact, a little insider tip is that the preview and the actual live call details page are the same exact page. The URL is the same. Basically, what is different about just previewing it is that your calls aren't actually published yet, so only you have access to this URL and only you have access to see this. But when it's published, that preview page essentially becomes the live published call details page. The application, though, is a little bit different. So if I'm on my artist account and I click Apply, and then I agree to the terms, again, we're taken to this application page. This one is a little bit different. So we've got the actual application for my account started here, whereas in our application preview, you can see it really is just a preview. The other difference you can see is that if I am in my artist account, I can actually see my work samples that I've uploaded to my portfolio. And because this is a live application, I can choose the ones that I'm going to attach to my application here. Whereas in the preview, it doesn't really give me that because I'm not logged into an artist account. This is just a preview. So that's what it looks like. Then the next step as an artist, of course, would be to save the application and go to the checkout page to submit the entry, whether or not you're paying for an entry fee. This isn't really previewable from the admin side because it's the same just kind of checkout page that we have for all of the calls on CaFÉ. As you can see here, I don't have an application actually ready to be checked out, but you can't really customize that. So there really is no preview for that stage. But if you really want to walk through the process as an artist, once you publish your call and it's open application, you can create an artist account or log in if you already have one and walk through the steps of applying to the call just to see how it works. You can get all the way up to the checkout phase, all the way up to submitting the entry fees if there is one, but you don't actually have to press submit. You can just kind of see what it looks like. So that's another way to kind of preview and test out your call. Otherwise, you can just use those preview call buttons. The next question kind of ties into stuff like this, talking about call setup, which is there a short form link to my call that I can include in a printed prospectus? So I'm hoping I'm understanding this question exactly. So what I'm going to do is just kind of tell you all about what the form links are, and hopefully that answers the question in there. Yeah, so we'll go from there. And basically, I'm going to go back to the admin side. So if you remember when I talked about the URLs that are the same for the call details page, if I go into my call editor, when you publish the call URL that's right here will become available. So when you're first editing your call, you're not going to see this URL, but as soon as the call gets published, this URL becomes available to you. And if you are clever, you can also use that preview call button to click on the preview of the call detail page and even get that URL before you publish your call. It's not going to do anything in terms of the artist side, because if your call's not published, it just won't allow artists to apply to your event. It actually won't allow them to apply until your accept applications date. So feel free to click preview call and grab this URL. But like I said, it's the exact same URL that you're given here. So this is what you can use to promote your call on social media, to your networks. You can email this around. You can copy and paste and use this URL as you see fit. And that's the way that you can direct artists to your call details page, which is right here. Now, this question might be getting at the fact that this URL is pretty long, and that's true. It's basically our, yeah, I see in the chat there. It is a really long URL. It's set up with our generic URL structure and then is only customized with this call ID here at the end. So that's the call ID given to every call created on CaFÉ. And we don't yet have an option to customize this URL or shorten it, but I would just recommend using a bit.ly. So bit.ly is a free tool you can use to shorten the URL. You can also, I don't know if this is on their free version, but I think you can customize the URL to make it something like bit.ly/exhibition 2023 or something like that. And that way, if you were to print out the URL, folks can actually type that into their browser and get to it. But we do know this URL is a bit long, but I recommend a separate URL shortener for those reasons. So then our next question goes into a different topic, and that's about reports. So the question is, can we get one report with all contact information, application, and media information on it? So before I answer this question, let me show you what the reports that we're talking about here mean. So in the application or in the events management page, so if I go to events and management, once all of your applications are collected in CaFÉ, you can download a number of reports for various types of information about the artist and the artwork. So if I were to click on, a status, let me close that. I get these two options: download XLXS, which is a spreadsheet, or download PDF. Under download spreadsheets, I can do the contact information, which has the artist's name, email address, phone number, city, state, things like that. The application answers, this gives the artist's name just, for identification, I think, also email address, and then includes any answers to your application questions. So that will all be, each question will become its own column and all the answers from each artist are in there. And then the media information, again, includes the artist's name, and also includes the artwork information that's attached to the work sample that they submit. So this would be the piece, name, the title, medium, dimensions, year created, those kinds of things. And then under download PDF, we've got two options: applications. Applications is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a PDF of all of the applications. Every app will be kind of on its own page, and then you just scroll through each submission and you can review their information kind of in a more formatted way than the spreadsheet allows. And then the other one, media inventory list, is a PDF that shows you essentially a grid of the artwork that was submitted. I can actually click this one and tell you what it looks like or show you. This will relate to another question in a little bit too. So you can see it's kind of a grid of the information about each piece of artwork. So every piece is separated into its own row. The name of the artist and the title and all that artwork information is listed in a grid. So now that I've described everything about these reports, let me answer the question, which was, can we get a report with all of the information in one? Unfortunately, the answer is no. There's not a way to download a large combined report of this information. We've separated out the reports in a way that makes it easy to find exactly the info you're looking for. But that's not to say I don't understand why you might want a report with everything on it. It's just that at this time, it's not something built into our system. We've heard this note before, so we've added it to our wish list for upcoming features and improvements. But for now, what I recommend is, pulling the reports with the information you need, and then either in Excel or Google Sheets or whatever program you have, copying. All you really have to do is kind of copy and paste the columns from one report to another. I will also say the application answers spreadsheet does include the most types of information because it includes the artist's name, email address, I think even city and state, in addition to those application questions. So maybe start with the application answers and then put in your media information if you want to tack those onto that. So I know it's another step to manipulate the reports, but we do have it kind of in our minds and on our radar to create a report. And I'll talk a little bit more about also what we're kind of brainstorming for reports down the road in just a little bit. So a related question we have is, can I edit the PDF media download? And the answer to this, unfortunately, again, is no, you can't edit the PDF. This is the media download that I'm pretty sure this administrator was referring to. I think this particular person uses the media inventory list to print out and then check and sign in and out the artwork when it's being received at the gallery or the event. So, this is a really good PDF for that use, but there is not a way to add columns or change them. As you can see here, we do have like a blank column because duration only relates to video. So maybe if you only have image work samples, you can use this as a space, but I understand you might want to customize it a little bit more. So like I said, we're, kind of brainstorming different things to improve CaFÉ. And in terms of reports, maybe it's about creating a report that when you're ready to download, you check off which columns you need, or you check off which pieces of information you want to see in the report. Maybe you can even say you want to create X blank columns or be able to customize columns. But right now it's just not in our software to have these report editing capabilities. Right now it's more just about pulling the information that exists in CaFÉ. But it is a great question, and we have considered changes to our reports. So we'll continue to prioritize that amongst the other improvements we want to make to CaFÉ. Okay, so we have another report related question. And that is, how can I download specific or individual applications instead of just the option to download all of them at once? So let me show you how to do just that. Gratefully, I don't have to say no to this question. So what I'm going to do is show you how to run a report for just one. So when you run these reports, what it's actually doing is running the report for any of the applications that you've pulled up in this list. So you just have to manipulate the list to become the application that you need. So you can, like I did before, you can click on the status of applications you need to run the report for. Maybe you only have one application in a different status, so you can just click on that and you only have the one. The other thing you could do, though, is use this search by box to find the application you want to download. So you can search by name, category, if you have categories set up. Maybe it's an application ID number that you have, and you can just plug that in, and it'll pull up the search results for that application. You can also do things like, I'm going to clear this one out and just do flagged applications only. So you can see I have one application that I flagged here. And to download it, you just pull up that result, and then you can go in and download the application. I'll say it's for an administrator, and I can pull this application up. And as you can see, it's just the one application. So it takes 2 pages to display it all, but it's just the one. And that's how you download an individual application. The next one that was submitted is, can an organization do a video only call for entry? Yes, we don't see this very often, but we can definitely support a video only call. Basically, you don't always have to just collect images to run a call. We can set up your call to collect video work samples only. When I go to that call request form that we were looking at earlier, at a certain time, you'll be asked, what kinds of work samples are you going to accept? And you can choose from any combination that we have. So just images, just audio, just video, maybe images and audio, or any combination of all of them, or not at all. Not at all would be for folks doing more like written submissions or different kinds of files instead of work samples. But yeah, if you want video only, you can just select video and then just tell us how many minimum per artist and maximum per artist you're allowing. We can collect up to 6 videos per artist. So that's just some system requirements to keep our storage size, but 6 videos per artist is pretty good. And we usually only see folks needing a couple videos. And if you don't already know, artists can now upload YouTube or Vimeo links as their work sample. So they no longer have to upload a big formatted file for their video unless they want to. They still can. But now they can just enter the URL for a YouTube or Vimeo video, and that will simply become embedded in their application. That is easy for administrators and jurors to view. So that's a great option. And if you're a video only exhibition, you can set it up so it's video only, and it's easier now for artists to submit videos. And then a related question to this that we got as a follow-up is, can we ask CaFÉ to export the videos like you do for images? I don't like saying no, but the answer to this is no. We cannot export video or audio work samples in the same way we do for image files. So as you know, you can request image download for all of the images submitted to your call, and we send you a link that allows you to download those full-size images. But we don't have that option for videos and audio files yet. And that's just because of how our storage works for those particular media files. But in the future, we're looking into other storage options, and hopefully this would be able to be offered to customers in the future, being able to export those videos. But in the meantime, videos that you need outside of CaFÉ can be collected directly from the artist, having them send it to you. Or you can, if they were submitted as a YouTube or Vimeo link, you can retrieve those URLs by copying it from their applications. So that's the option for now until we have the capability to export videos. And then we have our final question, which is, where can I leave feedback year-round? This is a great question. As you may be aware, we conduct annual client surveys to collect feedback, and gather input from you all that helps inform our technical development plans every year. But our ears are open year-round to hear from you and talk about what you'd like to see. So there's multiple ways to give us feedback, including just sending us an email or giving us a call to start that conversation. But there are 2 more formal ways to do this. The first is you can log into CaFÉ and go to the ticket tab. And this just sends us a message, and you can select from the list here. Maybe the general question is the best one to use. And you would just send us a message about your feedback or suggestions. And this comes to us as an email, so we'll get back to you and we'll consider putting your suggestion or feedback on our list of potential future enhancements. And then the second method is a little bit more hidden, but I want to show you it, is if you go to our Help Center. This will open up our Administrator Help Center. There we go. And if you go to our product updates page, so this might be a way just for me to show you that we now have this product updates page, which shows you every release of developments that we do every month. So we have our latest updates, and then we have a backlog of all the previous updates that we've made, including new features, bug fixes, things like that. So it's a great resource to check out, what we've been working on lately. So I highly recommend just peeking through that. We've only recently started it, but we'll be updating it every month. Anyway, so to give us feedback through this way, you can report a problem, click that button. And this takes you to a form that is report a problem or share your feedback about CaFÉ. So you'll just fill out this form. Under issue, you have a couple more options. You can choose suggest improvements or maybe provide feedback. And that also sends us an email, but it kind of also puts it on a different list that we have for submitted technical feedback and allows us to review those lists. In addition to sending us an email and us being able to add suggestions to our wish list, we can refer back to this form answers that were given to us when we're doing our technical planning for the upcoming year. So that's how you would submit feedback. Like I said, we welcome any and all feedback and suggestions. In any way you choose to send that to us, we welcome it. So we look forward to hearing from you if you have anything. And that concludes our Q&A webinar. I hope the questions and the answers have been helpful and that you've learned something new. How can I see the applications as my juror sees them in a grid? Yeah, so we are hoping this would be kind of down the road, but a juror preview would be nice, not only for the administrators, but for artists too. Being able to click like, what will my artwork look like to the juror? But right now there's not an option for that. So for administrators, the way to see the application as a juror would see them is to set yourself up as a juror. So you can go to the jury administration page and you can add yourself as a juror. And this doesn't mean you have to score them. If you were to score them, let's say this juror demo here was me. If you were to practice scoring and saving them scores, you can always remove those scores. So just set yourself up as a juror and then go in and you can look at the grid view. You can flip between the different views that are available. You just have to log out of your admin account and log into your juror account. But yeah, I'm glad that was a good question to be able to see those as a juror. And it's definitely possible, yes. Thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you at the next CaFÉ webinar.